Hello everyone and welcome to the World of Wrestling podcast. I am your predictions champion, Slim. Before we get started, I will say that we're going to be putting the podcast on hiatus for a little bit. I wouldn't say that it'll be soon, but it's in a month, right? In a month's time, on the 25th, that'll be our last episode. That'll be episode 30. It'll be going on a hiatus then. I've been talking to Kyle. I was talking to him Friday, and he has said that he's not going to be back for a long time at least now. He's been very busy over the past, however many, 25 weeks now. But he was always saying that he thinks he'll be back very, very soon. However, when I was talking to him Friday, he just said he's not going to be back for a while, a long while. And although I could keep doing it like this, I feel that it would be better off with the both of us. This is his thing anyway. I just decided to keep it going because thinking he'd be back soon. But yeah, so it's going on a hiatus. I don't know when it'll be back. I'll talk to Kyle. We'll work it out. But yeah, so like I said, it's not until the 25th of October. That's the last episode. After that, it'll be gone. But I don't know. It also means that I don't have to take notes on wrestling every week, which has gotten to be a little bit annoying. Just that I don't actually get to watch it. I have to take notes while I'm watching it. So instead of just watching a show, it's pause it, do whatever. And the amount of wrestling I've got to watch, it's like, holy shit. But yeah, so that's what's happening. As you can probably see, just up here, it has the locker room. Something different. I thought, why not? Why not? Could be cool. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about us going on hiatus. Obviously, there's still going to be gaming stuff up on the channel. There'll be how I book things. There'll be predictions. All that shit will still be on the channel. Just that the podcast won't be. And what's the bet on now that we're going to a hiatus? Carl will say, I can come back in a couple of weeks. 6 weeks or something. Given that in 4 weeks this will go on hiatus, so it's on hiatus for about 2 weeks, and it's like, let's do it again. But yeah, so that's what's happening. It sucks, but I feel that it'll give us time to work out the best way of doing this anyway, because I feel that the way I do it wouldn't work in the having another person sense. I feel that I'd have to alter it, so me and him can talk about it and work it out and whatnot. But yeah, so we're going on hiatus starting October 25th. That will be the last episode, so technically starting the 26th. But that does mean that yes, we will have a Clash of Champions review thing on next week's show. I will still be doing it next week, so yeah. However, while we're on that, I am just having a look to see when Hell in a Cell is. It says it's on the 20th. Yeah, right. So we have our last show, and then Hell in a Cell is the next day. But what I might do, because the way I do pay-per-views when I do it for the podcast is I sit there and watch the show and then and do the predictions while I'm doing it, and then I'll go back and watch it again. Sort of. I'll put it on and I'll go, what match was it? And then I thought this or that match. Because it's a pay-per-view and I can watch it properly, I can do that. The reason why I don't do it when I watch Raw and whatnot is just because it's a 3-hour show that, is sometimes crap. And I don't really want to watch it again, and I forget what happens. So if I just watch it once, do it once, then it's all done once. Where I don't mind going back through a pay-per-view. But like I was saying, what I might do, starting Hell in a Cell, is I will go through and review each show, each pay-per-view. At least until the podcast is back. So it'll be the same sort of thing, but it'll just be for the pay-per-view. And I can call it like my Hell in a Cell review. And that will go with not only WWE, but NXT, NXT UK, Impact, New Japan, AEW, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. If I missed one, well, we'll do it for that too. We'll do that for all of them, all takeovers, all, I'm pretty sure that New Japan, the finals is what I'm going to do, so. But I think that all falls in while I'm still doing the podcast anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so New Japan starts very, very soon, like 45 minutes. So let's get this on the go, starting with Raw so that I can be done, dusted, watching New Japan when it starts. So Raw this week, well, it starts with Retribution, and it's revealed that Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez, Dio Madden, Dominik Dijakovic, and someone else which is now confirmed to be Shane Thorne. That is the 5 core members of Retribution. So, Dijak says that they're going to destroy WWE and they are the judge, jury and executioners. Hurt Business then come out and Retribution leave the ring. MVP challenges Retribution to a match. Lashley says they will hurt them. More members of Retribution then show up and the numbers game catches up to the Hurt Business. Tom Phillips is back on commentary and King is back too. King is replacing Samoa Joe at the moment. Backstage interview with the Mysterio family. Ray says family is everything and it's an honour to watch Dominik follow in his footsteps since the first title Ray won in WWE was the tag titles, and as we'll see, Dominik has a chance to go for the tag titles. Obviously, if you've watched our predictions video or you know the card for Clash of Champions, you'll know who wins this next match, but anyway. So, Street Profits come out to join commentary for the Triple Threat Tag Team No. 1 Contenders match for the Raw Tag Team Championships between Rollins and Murphy, Angel, Garza and Andrade, and Humberto Carrillo and Dominik Mysterio. During Rollins and Murphy's entrance, we see what happened in and after the cage match last week. During the match, Rollins leaves Murphy high and dry. Good match. Garza and Andrade win by pinfall after Garza hits the wing clipper on Murphy. We then see what happened last week in Raw Underground. Then we see Shane McMahon coming out of Raw Underground and he tells the bouncer to watch the door while he promotes Dabba Kato versus Braun Strowman on the Kevin Owens Show. Backstage, Retribution says that the Hurt Business could have been a part of the solution, but now they're a part of the problem, and they will pay the Hurt Business back in Retribution. Then we have the KO Show with Owens as guest, Shane McMahon. Kev says last time he hosted the KO Show, he was attacked by Black, but he took care of him last week. Kev then introduces Shane O'Mac. Shane and Kev talk about their history, and Kev tells Shane to promote Raw Underground. Shane then brings out Double Kato. As Kato was coming out, we see some of his highlights from Raw Underground. Kev says that he knew Kato would be out here if he invited Shane out. So Kev then says that he and Kato will go at it at some point and slaps him. Kev then says he had a second guess and it's Braun Strowman. Shane says that if they don't back it up, their fight won't happen. Black then attacks Owens as Kato and Shane go to the back. Then we look at what happened last week when Retribution showed up during the main event. Backstage interview with Drew McIntyre, who says things got heated last week and it was just business, nothing personal between he and Keith Lee. Backstage, we then see Retribution beating up some people, and Dodgekovic says that WWE superstars are a sickness, which I should have changed that to being T-Bar, because that's his name. When we get to the end of Raw, obviously because Retribution's in the main event, I will tell you how Vince McMahon came up with their names. Then we have Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre. Really good match. Drew wins by DQ when Orton attacks him with a chair and even jams a chair into the jaw of McIntyre. Orton then punts Lee. Then we see what happened to end last week's match, and we see Orton in the ring with a mic. Orton says shame on everyone for doubting that he would make it to Clash of Champions. Orton then says that the match at Clash isn't a normal world title match. He then walks over to an ambulance that was on the stage, because obviously we're that dumb that we need to see the ambulance to know that there's an ambulance match. Orton then says that he took a ride in the same ambulance a couple of weeks ago, and that because Drew had hit, and that's because Drew had hit him with 3 claymores. And while he was in the ambulance, he realised that this is what's being taken out by the Legend Killer feels like. Orton then says that after the ambulance trip, he remembered that he had what it takes to win the WWE Championship, and at Clash, he will win his 14th world title. You know, that's, well, about the same as what I've held my predictions title, because I'm the champ. You know, this is number 13. Orton's on number 13, and after Clash he'll be on 14, but I don't know. But yeah, so, you know, I'm as good as Randy Orton, essentially. Which is, hey, I'll take that. You know, obviously I'm going to surpass John Cena and Ric Flair at some point. Well, I won't, actually. Because I'm never letting this thing go. And who knows, maybe one day I'll get, you know, a new one. Just to celebrate me being such a good champion. The greatest, some would say. The greatest champion. Anyway, back to this. Backstage interview with Asuka. As Asuka is talking Japanese, Billy Kaye shows up and says that Asuka is willing to face anyone. And as she is about to suggest maybe she should challenge Asuka for the title, Peyton Royce interrupts and says she should be the one challenging for the title. Billy says yeah, either one of them. Then Asuka says that at Clash no one is ready for Asuka, but tonight Asuka is ready for Peyton. Then we get a number 1 contenders match to determine who will challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Clash of Champions between Zelina Vega and Mickie James. Obviously, if you've seen the predictions video, or you know the card, you know who won. During Mickey's entrance, we get a promo, and she says that last week she didn't give up, and will never give up when it comes to the Raw Women's Championship. So tonight, Vega better be ready for their clash. Good match. Vega won by pinfall after hitting the backstabber. In between Vega and James's entrance, we see what happened at the start of the show between Retribution and the Hurt Business. Backstage, we then see the Hurt Business attacking Retribution. None of the 5 core members, just some random people that are a part of it. Then we see Bianca Belair training in the Performance Center, where she keeps schooling some dude that she's training with. It's pretty much just a promo package for her. Then not a promo package, a hype package. Then we see earlier today that Tozawa was looking for Truth in the ocean, and Truth brings little Jimmy to the beach. There is apparently a shark that causes Truth to drop 24/7 title in the water. When he comes back, he says that if they can find Nemo, then they can find his baby. Turns out the shark wasn't real either. But that was very, very funny. If they can find Nemo, they can find his baby. That was just gold. R-Truth is great. They still haven't added his match, though. I'd say it'll be against Giselle, but for a show with every title on the line, they still haven't added one title. We then have Apollo Crews versus Ricochet. Apollo Crews with Ricochet versus Cedric Alexander with MVP. After Cedric's entrance, MVP says that this is an official call-out, and he tells Retribution that the Hurt Business are the executioners. Cedric then says that he is going to get Apollo back for the months of Apollo using Cedric. Apollo then comes out and says that he and Ricochet don't care why he turned on them. All they care about is punching him in the face. And Apollo says that Clash he'll become a 2-time US champion. Pretty good match. Crews won by pinfall with a roll-up. Post-match, the Hurt Business attack Apollo and Ricochet. Lashley also locks in the Hurt Lock on Crews. We then go to Raw Underground, where we get Arturo Ruiz versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler won with the sleeper. We then have an interview with Braun Strowman, who says he wants the best fighters, and if Shane wants to go at Braun, he can have it. We then have Seth Rollins, who comes out with an envelope, and Rollins says he has big news. Rollins says that he has had the Mysterio family's number, and he thought that he was done with them last week, but apparently not. Rollins then says that the world must know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Rollins puts a picture of the Mysterio family on the Tron and says in the envelope here's the results of some digging that he had done before, but before he reveals it, he invites the Mysterio family out. Ray says that they intend to give Rollins a beating like they did to Murphy. Rollins then says that he respects the Mysterio family and he's inspired by them. Seth says that everyone needs to know if Ray is really Dominic's father. And the truth is, Ray is not the father. Ray then says that they've been down this road before. Rollins says maybe... Well, he says that he did ask them to gather evidence of the Mysterio kid. So maybe it's not Dominic. Maybe it's Aaliyah that isn't really Ray's daughter. Rollins then rolls a clip of Aaliyah consoling Murphy. Ray says that he raised his daughter to be caring and compassionate, something Rollins knows nothing about. Aaliyah then runs to the back and Angie follows her before Ray also goes, and so does Dominic. Rollins says that he's sorry, he just came out to inform, not drive a wedge in the Mysterio family. We then get Natalya and Lana versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I wonder how this match is going to go. Riot Squad's on commentary. Oh, what's that? Squash match for Nia and Baszler. Who would have thought? Baszler made Lana tap to the Kirifuda clutch. Oh, it's Lana that lost. Post-match, Nia and Shayna attempt to fight the Riot Squad, but they get away, so Nia puts Lana through the announce table with a Samoan drop again. Okay. I'm not complaining there. Then we look at what happened during the match between Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. Backstage interview with Drew, who says he will defend his title at Clash and beat the piss out of Orton, but tonight he's going to pick a fight. Backstage, Aaliyah has a go at Ray because she thinks she's capable of handling herself. Back to Raw Underground, where we get Riddick Moss versus Eric. Moss wins after some big punches to Eric. We then get an interview with Dabba-Kato, who says talk is cheap, but Braun will feel what he's all about. After that, we get Asuka versus Peyton Royce with Billy Kaye. Good match. Asuka wins by DQ when Vega attacks Asuka while she's trying to lock in the Asuka lock. Backstage, we see Aaliyah crying, and Murphy shows up and apologises and says that the whole Seth thing has gotten out of hand, and if he's done something to hurt her, then he's sorry. Back to Raw Underground, where we have Dabba-Kato versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman wins with a fury of strikes. Main event time, and it's Retribution, that being T-Bar, Dominik Dijakovic, Slapjack, which is Shane Thorne, and Mace, which is Dio Madden, versus the Hurt Business, that being Cedric Alexander, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin, with MVP. Good match. Hurt Business win by DQ when Mace attacked Lashley while he was the illegal man. Post-match, more members of Retribution show up, and the Raw locker room, led by McIntyre, help the Hurt Business deal with Retribution. Once the ring is cleared and only Drew is left in it, he is RKO'd by Randy Orton to close the show. Lots of DQs on Raw. It was a decent episode, but lots of DQs. We'll move on to AEW Dark, and this week's Dark has 11 matches. I can confirm next week has 9. Vader Scott's on commentary again. Taz says that Ricky Starks will rejoin commentary later, after his match. First match of the night is Fuego del Sol and Rembrandt Lewis versus the Dark Order, that being Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. Pretty good match. Dark Order win by pinfall after Uno hit an inside-out flatliner on Fuego, which I believe is like a bitter end. Then we get Christopher Daniels versus Absolute Ricky Starks. Good match. Starks wins by pinfall with a spear. It was a pretty good match. Not just a good match, it was a pretty good match. Post-match, Starks joins commentary. After that, it's Puff and Calvin Stewart. Yes, Puff is the dude that thought he was Kip Sabian's best man. And he is massive. They're versing the Butcher and the Blade with Eddie Kingston. Match starts before the Butcher and... before the Butcher and the Blade's introductions, when they jump their opponents. Pretty good match. The Butcher and Blade win by pinfall after hitting full death on Stewart, because there was no way they were hitting full death on Puff. We then have Serpentico with Luther versus Will Hobbs. Luther gets involved multiple times. Good match. Hobbs wins by pinfall after hitting a massive spinebuster. Next up is Dante, Smiley and Max Stardom versus the Lucha Brothers with Eddie Kingston. Really good match, because how can it not be with the Lucha Brothers? Duh. Lucha Bros win by pinfall with the elevated package piledriver on Stardom. It's then Ryzen and Xander Gold versus the Dark Order, that being 5 and 10 this time. Pretty good match. Angels is awesome. Dark Order wins by pinfall after hitting the double foot stomp into a power slam on Gold. Then we have Kevin Blackwood and Daniel Garcia versus Joey Janella and Sonny Kiss. Good match. Kiss and Janella win by pinfall with the split leg drop on Garcia. After that, we get the Gun Club with Colton Gunn versus Mbadu and Cruz. Good match. The Gun Club win by pinfall after Billy hits the famous shot on Cruz. We then get Kylan King versus Serena Deeb. Good match. Deeb won by submission with the Serenity Lock, which is the Tequila Sunrise that the Usos used to do. Next on the card is Lee Johnson versus Ben Carter. Really good match. Carter wins by pinfall with a frog splash. Main event time, and it's Eddie Kingston versus Brian Pillman Jr. Pretty good match. Kingston won by pinfall with a spinning backhand. That, I think, marks the third time Eddie Kingston's been on this week of Dark. Now we'll move on to the late night AEW Dynamite show. And Jericho's on commentary tonight. We start the show with Ben Carter versus Scorpio Sky. During the match, Sky gets busted open. Excellent match. Sky won by pinfall with the TKO. Post-match, Sky helps Carter up and they hug and Sky raises Carter's hand. We then get a promo package for the Team Moxley vs Team Archer 6-man tag on Dynamite tomorrow. which then does get changed, but we'll get into that when we get to Dynamite. Then we get Anna Jay versus Brandy Rhodes. Match starts before the bell when the two start brawling. During the match, Drew Grayson and Evil Uno come down and distract the ref. Good match. Anna Jay wins by submission with the Queen Slayer. Backstage interview with Scorpio Sky, he puts over Ben Carter and says that he's going after the TNT Championship. And he is interrupted by Matt Seidel, who talks about the Casino Battle Royal. And Sky chimes in and says that Seidel eliminates Spears, who is looking for revenge, and Sky and Seidel say that after Seidel wins his match, they will go and party. Then we have a promo package for the TNT Championship match between Mr. Brody Lee and Orange Cassidy that takes place on Dynamite. Main event time, and it's Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard versus Matt Seidel. During the match, Tully loads the glove while the ref is distracted. Really good match. Spears wins by pinfall after hitting the C4. And then he hits Seidel in the head with the loaded glove. Post-match, Spears goes to hit Seidel with the loaded glove again, but Scorpio Sky runs him off. Moving on to AEW Dynamite, and this week's Dynamite starts with a in memory of Road Warrior Animal, who died this week. SmackDown also starts with that, but I'll just say it again then anyway. Dynamite then kicks off with Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford and Miro versus Joey Janella and Sonny Kiss. After Kip and Ford come out, Kip gets on the mic to hype up Miro. During Janella and Kiss's entrance, Janella has a promo and he says that Kip made a mistake. That mistake was asking Penelope Ford to marry him. Hang on. Yeah, right. And he also says that he and Kiss are going to beat up Kip and Miro tonight. Miro and Sabian win by submission after Miro locks in the accolade on Sonny Kiss. It was a good match. Also, during the match, Miro tweaks his ankle. Kip takes a really bad bump, and so does Janella. But I mean, I think Janella's one, it looks bad, but you can tell that it's not. But Janella's one, not Janella, bloody Kip's one, that looks bad, and you can't actually see what happens, so. But yeah. Moving on, Eddie Kingston comes out and says that tonight he is fighting Moxley for the AEW Championship, and he is getting this shot because he was never eliminated from the Casino Battle Royal. He then says that Mox sold his soul to the devil when he sold out and went to the land of sports entertainment. Mox then comes out and goes face to face with Kingston, and referees come out to hold them apart. That is happening because Lance Archer and a few others caught COVID. So, obviously, they can't do the 6-man or whatever, especially when team leader is not there. Omega joins commentary for Hangman versus Evil Uno with the Dark Order, that being 4, 5, 10, Anna Jay, and Colt Cabana. During the match, Uno sends Dark Order to the back. Really good match. Hangman won by pinfall with the Buckshot Lariat. Then we go to earlier in the day where we have a backstage interview with the Young Bucks, and Schiavone is conducting the interview. Matt Jackson takes the interview and says that they were out of line, shouldn't have super kicked that ref, or Marvez, or whatever his name is, in the words of Matt Jackson, obviously. I know it's Marvez. When Schiavone starts talking about FTR, Matt asks to see Tony's phone, which he then breaks, and then throws a bunch of money at him to get a new one. We then get Orange Cassidy versus Mr. Brody Lee with the Dark Order, that being Uno, 4, 5, 10, and Anna Jay. For the TNT Championship, John Silver throws a fit when Orange throws his jacket at him, and then Orange drops his shirt on Silver's head. Orange also puts his glasses on Anna Jay's head before Mr. Brody goes and takes them off her head, drops them into the middle of the ring. During the match, Dark Order attack Orange behind the ref's back multiple times. Brody has a go at Silver for not having his belt. It was a pretty good match. Brody wins by pinfall after Silver gets in the ring to take the orange punch for Brody, who then powerbombs Orange before hitting the discus clothesline. Post-match, Cody returns and beats up 4-5-10 of the Dark Order. We are then meant to have a backstage interview with Mr. Brody Lee, but Anna Jay takes the mic, hands it to Brody, and pushes Dasher off screen. Brody says that Cody isn't a man because he got Dustin to fight for him. Then he asks if Cody saw what he did to Dustin, what Anna Jay did to Brandy. Brody then calls Cody a coward and then challenges Cody to a dog collar match. If Cody doesn't answer the challenge in a week, then he is a coward. Matt Hardy and Private Party then make their entrance. Matt says that there are multiple people who could have attacked him. He says it could have been MJF, could have been Mr. Brody Lee, could have been Chris Jericho, who is his prime suspect. That's what I was trying to say. Matt then talks about the match that Private Party had with Jericho and Hager, and the only reason the Inner Circle won that match was because Jericho smashed Cassidy in the back with Floyd. Matt calls Jericho an asshole, then Inner Circle comes out. Jericho first wishes Matt a happy birthday, before saying, "Who gives a shit?" Jericho then says that he doesn't know when Sammy will be back, and it's all because of what Matt did to him, before saying, actually that's a lie, he knows when Sammy will be back, and that is right now. Jericho says Matt knows him better, so if he was going to attack Matt's leg with a baseball bat, he would do it face to face, so Matt can see how happy it makes him. Matt says that he will fight the entire Inner Circle, even if he's not cleared to compete. Mark Quinn then says that they need Matt, so he should focus on getting healthy and cleared. But Mark is cleared, and he said he laid Jericho out last week. Cassidy takes the mic and cuts Quinn off as he was saying that he attacked Cassidy with a baseball bat. Cassidy says he almost beat Jericho twice. Cassidy then challenges Jericho to a match next week. In-ring interview with FTR and Tully Blanchard. Schiavone's also conducting this interview. Tully says normally world title matches have a 60-minute time limit, but Tully has changed the rule, so it's only 20, so that FTR are still at their peak to put on the best match for the fans. Tully then says next week FTR will face SCU, and even if SCU make it to the 20-minute mark, then FTR still wins. They're calling these matches 20-minute brush with fame matches. Dax then says that the next people they will face, provided they get past SCU, could be a couple of teams, and as they talk about the Best Friends match last week, and they call it a glorified backyard wrestling match, Best Friends come out. Trent says last week wasn't a match, it was a war. Trent then says that let's do this 20-minute brush with greatness deal right now. Dax accepts. Cash then says that they can't do it now because Best Friends aren't 100%. As FTR leaves, Chuck says that FTR are running from a fight. We then see how this next match came about, which is Ivelisse and Diamante versus Hikaru, Shida and Thunder Rosa. We're told that Thunder Rosa's face paint is in tribute to Road Warrior Animal. The match starts with Ivelisse and Diamante attacking Shida and Rosa during Shida's entrance. Good match. Shida and Thunder Rosa won by pinfall after Shida hit the running knee on a kneeling Diamante. Don't remember what they called it. Backstage interview with Chris Jericho, who says that he has respect for Cassidy, but next week he will beat him up. MJF then interrupts and says he heard what Cassidy had to say about Jericho, and it's deplorable. They both run down each other's nicknames before calling each other great. But then they ask each other at the exact same time why they called each other a loser. So why Jericho called MJF and why MJF called Jericho a loser. MJF says he wasn't calling Jericho a loser, he was calling the limo driver a loser because they almost crashed. And Jericho says he wasn't calling MJF a loser, he was calling Tony Schiavone a loser. They then say that each other is alright. Main event time, and it's Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. Good match. Moxley wins by submission with the Bulldog choke. Post-match, Lucha Bros come down and attack Moxley until Will Hobbs comes out, but the numbers game eventually catches up to him. Then Darby Allin comes out to help, and he does help until Ricky Starks comes down and spears Darby. Taz then comes out, and Ricky Starks hits Roshambo on Darby. And the Lucha Brothers, Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, and Taz stand tall to close the show. Moving on to NXT, and again, NXT starts with a In Memory of Road Warrior Animal. We then kick the show off with the number one contenders battle royal. Before the show, Candice attacks Nox, including ramming a road case into Tegan's knee. Ripley and Gonzalez eliminate each other and continue to brawl afterwards. Final four are Candice, Kai, Shotzi, and Casey Catanzaro. Catanzaro is the next to go. Final two are Shotzi and Candice. Candice wins after eliminating Blackheart. The final two spot was pretty entertaining. Gargano comes out to celebrate. Backstage interview with Damian Priest, who says that he will beat Gargano at TakeOver. Priest also says that he'll beat Austin Theory later. Backstage earlier in the day, we see Fandango, who is talking in a British accent and dressed like Sherlock Holmes. Surrounded by NXT tag teams, and Regal shows up and tells Dango to knock off the accent. And Dango says that they will take one member from Britain Brawlers, Undisputed Era, Legado del Fantasma, and Imperium. Team them together, the winning team then faces each other in a tag match, and the winners earn a shot at the tag champs. Regal looks super confused and just says, "Yep, okay, sounds good," before leaving. Then we have Jake Atlas versus Tommaso Ciampa. Good match. Ciampa wins by pinfall with the fairy tale ending. However, he did hit Willow's bell, but refused to end the match beforehand. We then get a hype package for the Gauntlet Eliminator. We then get Roderick Strong and Danny Birch versus Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza. Pretty good match. Strong and Birch win by pinfall after Birch hits the Tower of London on Mendoza. Backstage interview with Austin Theory, and the interview is cut off almost immediately by Gargano, who says that Theory should... Theory should wrestle smart against Priest, and if he softens Priest up for Gargano, he won't forget it when he wins the North American title at TakeOver. Mackenzie then wishes Theory luck, who says he doesn't need luck. Then we have Austin Theory versus Damian Priest. Pretty good match. Priest won by pinfall after hitting the Reckoning. Post-match, Gargano superkicks Priest before uses Priest's taunt to say that he's coming for the North American title. Then we get a video package where someone is saying that they're coming back and coming for a title. It's filmed in night vision by a drone with a voice that is altered, and at the end they just have the takeover date. Now, there are three people who it could be. Number 1, Bo Dallas. Number 2, Bobby Roode. Number 3, Samoa Joe. However, the dude doesn't look like Samoa Joe, right? He's not, big. So it's either Bo Dallas or it's Bobby Roode. Now, I think it's Bobby Roode. I do. Because why would you have a promo package like that for Bo Dallas? I would just have Bo Dallas show up and do something instead of hyping him like that. Because they haven't done anything with Bo. So hyping him up isn't going to do much. After that, we get a video package from Swerve. He says he's coming for Santos Escobar and the Cruiserweight Championship. Next, we get Ridge Holland versus Antonio DeLuca. Squash match. Holland wins by pinfall with Northern Grit. Backstage interview with Io Shirai, who speaks Japanese before saying she's never liked Candice. Candice and Johnny then show up and have a go at Io. Priest shows up and sucker punches Gargano and starts a brawl. Main event time, and it's the Gauntlet Eliminator to determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship at TakeOver. First two competitors are Shida and Kyle O'Reilly. Third competitor is Bronson Reed. During the match, Dream shows up and hits the Dream Valley Driver on Kushida behind the ref's back, which allows Reed to hit the Tsunami on Kushida and eliminate him. Then the fourth competitor comes out, and it's Timothy Thatcher. Final competitor to come out is obviously Cameron Grimes. Reed is the next to go thanks to Kyle O'Reilly, who hit a top rope knee to the back of Reed, who had just missed the Tsunami on Thatcher. Thatcher then is the next to be eliminated, also by Kyle O'Reilly, who rolls him up. Grimes thinks he got Kyle O'Reilly when he hit the cave-in, but Kyle O'Reilly got his foot on the ropes. Kyle O'Reilly wins by submission with the heel hook. Post-match, Cole and Strong come down to celebrate. Bella comes out and stares at Kyle O'Reilly before giving him the finger gun sign, Moving on to NXT UK, and NXT UK starts with a video package showing what happened last week and hyping up what will happen this week. We then start earlier in the day where Scala is taking all the people, talking to all the people in the Heritage Cup. First match of the night is NXT UK champion Volta versus Saxton Huxley. Pretty good match. Volta won by pinfall after hitting a powerbomb. We then see KLR, so Kaylee Ray, pacing backstage. Then we also see Huxley, who runs into Jack Stars, who tells him better luck next time. Then we get the rules of the Heritage Cup. Back to the ring, where Sid Scala introduces Pete Dunne to draw the matches for the Heritage Cup, although Sid Scala draws all the matches. First match is Joseph Connors versus Dave Mastiff. Second match is the Wild Card entrant versus Trent Seven. Third is Flash Morgan Webster versus A-Kid. And the fourth and final match in the first round is Alexander Wolf versus Noam Dar. Dar goes to attack Wolf, but Dunne stops him and snaps his fingers, then tosses him out of the ring. Then we see Danny Luna and Xia Brookside talking to Piper Niven. Then we have the Hunt versus Pretty Deadly. Good match. Pretty Deadly wins by pinfall with a roll-up from Sam Stoker on Wild Boar. Post-match, Eddie Dennis shows up and tells Pretty Deadly something. Backstage, we see the Hunt, who are pissed, and Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews show up and tell them that they need to keep their chin up. We also see Sid Scala and Pete Dunne, and Scala asks how they're going to keep the Dar versus Wolf match under control. And Dunne says he'll ref them, and Scala says, okay, next week is when the match will take place, and Dunne is the special guest ref. We are also told that there will be a triple threat match next week to determine the wildcard entrant in the Heritage Cup. One small thing is that I thought that they were drawing them in order by going, this is the first match, but clearly not, because they're starting with the second match, and we're only finding out who the wildcard is then. Main event time, and it's Kaylee Ray defending her NXT UK Women's Championship against Piper Niven. Match stops for a bit when Kaylee Ray injures her knee, but she continues the match anyway. Good match. Kaylee Ray won by pinfall after moving out of the way of a cannonball, which sent Piper into the exposed bottom turnbuckle, allowing Kaylee Ray to pick up the pin. Post-match, we see Jenny looking on. Moving on to SmackDown, and SmackDown obviously starts with a in memory of Road Warrior Animal. We then kick SmackDown off with the Intercontinental Championship Ascension celebration. Styles comes out first, followed by Zayn, and finally Jeff. After Corey Graves goes through the rules of a ladder match, Styles tells Jeff that he shouldn't be the champion since he cheated to win it. And he also says that Sammy isn't the champion because he went on vacation. Sammy then says that he's the rightful champion. Jeff says that he agrees with Styles that Sammy went home and isn't the champion, before asking for the thing to come down so they can put their belts on it. After putting his belt on it, Sammy gets out of the ring and kicks a ladder into Styles and Jeff, then beats up Jeff until Styles runs him off. Adam Pearce then comes down and says Sammy's match against Jeff is now a triple threat match with Styles, and it's next. Jeff then hits a twist of fate on Styles. So, we then get Styles versus Jeff versus Sammy. Pretty good match. Zayn wins by pinfall after throwing Styles out of the ring and pinning Jeff, who was taken out, with a phenomenal forearm. Post-match, Sammy takes Zayn and Hardy out with a ladder before setting it up, climbing and unhooking both titles. Which makes me think Jeff Hardy's winning, because we had Sammy win the match and Styles win the brawl. And by WWE booking, leaves Jeff Hardy to win at the pay-per-view. Backstage, we see Heavy Machinery. We then look at what happened between Heavy Machinery and Miz and Morrison last week. Backstage interview with Heavy Machinery. Otis is about to say what's going to happen when Miz and his lawyers try to take his Money in the Bank. When Miz walks up and says that if Otis doesn't give them Money in the Bank, then Miz will take absolutely everything from Otis. Tucker then says that only Miz's name is on the lawsuit, which means Otis can attack Morrison. And that's exactly what he does. Bayley is out next and doesn't go to the ring, but sits on the stage and says that she doesn't have time for Sasha anymore because she's turning her attention to Nikki Cross. She says that she heard that Nikki said that she had a chance of beating Bayley since Sasha isn't going to be in Bayley's corner. Bayley says that Nikki should look at why Sasha won't be in her corner, and if she did that to her best friend, imagine what she'll do to Cross. Then we have Grand Metalik with the rest of Lucha House Party versus Shinsuke Nakamura with Cesaro. Good match. Nakamura won by pinfall with the Kinshasa. Post-match, Cesaro takes down Dorado, and when he took him down when he went to check on Metalik. Kalisto doesn't get in the ring until after Cesaro and Nakamura leave. And when he does, Lindsay pushes him over and helps Metalik out of the ring. Backstage, we then see Jey Uso walking to Reigns' locker room and bangs on the door, telling Reigns he ain't stopping or leaving until Reigns opens the door. We then see a whole bunch of tweets from people talking about Road Warrior Animal. Then we have a look at how we got to Reigns versus Jay, and we hear from Arthur, Sika, Rikishi, and Jimmy about the match and the history that Reigns and Jay have. Jay then comes out to hype the match at Clash of Champions, then invites Reigns out to talk about what happened last week, and as Jay plays the clip from the end of last week's show, Reigns is shown with Heyman in his locker room. Heyman comes out and says that we will hear from Reigns later, not when Jay wants it, but when Reigns wants it. Jay then welcomes Reigns to the Uso Penitentiary. Then we take a look at what happened between Riddle and Corbin at Payback. We then have Corbin who says he will hurt Riddle. Then we get King Corbin versus Matt Riddle. During Riddle's entrance, he cuts a promo saying that he will show the difference between a stallion and a jackass. Price check on a jackass. Riddle attacks Corbin before their match. Pretty good match. Corbin wins by pinfall at the end of days. Oh, shit. Post-match interview with Riddle, who says that losing sucks, but he will continue to push himself and grind until SmackDown is the bro show. We then see the mystery woman who writes untouchable in a mirror before putting some rings on and taking a picture. Oh, a couple of pictures. Main event time, and it's Alexa Bliss versus Lacey Evans. During Bliss's entrance, we get a promo from Bliss who says that Lacey is the type of woman who give women a bad name. During the match, we hear Bray's laugh echo through the arena, and later in the match, Fiend's music and lights come on and Bliss snaps, or enters a trance, whatever. Good match. Lacey won by DQ when Bliss wouldn't stop attacking Lacey in the ropes. Post-match, Bliss hits Sister Abigail on the outside. Then the Fiend shows up on the Tron and says, "Let me in," before Bliss smiles and leaves. Reigns and Heyman then come out while Bliss is walking to the back, and Bliss stares at Reigns like she's going to attack him, but doesn't. Heyman then says that now is the time, and Jay interrupts him. Reigns says that he would give Jay the title, but he wouldn't know what to do with it. He says that Jay is one half of the greatest tag team in this generation. Reigns also says that he is the tribal chief and it will never be Jay. Jay then asks what if Roman is wrong, and after Clash he won't be asked which one of the Usos he is. People will say that he's the one that beat Roman. Where am I? Yeah, the one who beat Roman for the Universal title. Reigns leaves, and as Jay goes to leave, Reigns Superman punches Jay and says that he will never take his title. Moving on to 205 Live, and Byron Saxton's on commentary this week with Nigel McGuinness. 205 Live this week starts with Mansoor versus Ashanti the Adonis. Good match. Mansoor won by pinfall after hitting the one-winged angel Murphy Law thing that he does. We then have a look at the video package that Swerve had on NXT. Main event time, and it's Swerve versus Arya Daivari. Really good match. Swerve won by pinfall after hitting the house call. Moving on to the New Japan G1 standings, which today's episode of the G1 starts in 2 minutes. So as of right now, A block standings are on 4 points. We have Ospreay, Switchblade, and Taichi. On 2 points, we have Kota Ibushi, Jeff Cobb, and Minoru Suzuki, and Okada. And on 0 points, we have Shingo, Ishii, and Yujiro Takahashi. In the B block, the standings are on 4 points, we have Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, and Tetsuya Naito. On 2 points, we have Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, Goto, and Evil. And on 0 points, we have Tanahashi, Yoshihashi, and Sanada. So, that's that. New Japan starts in a minute, but it's fine because I always have that Young Lions match first. So as long as I can catch the end of that, it's fine. Don't worry me. But yeah. So obviously, predictions champion. I'm going to retain tomorrow at Clash of Champions, which hopefully it's a good show. They still haven't added Truth versus Tozawa yet, but I'd say that they will on the bump or something. And like I said at the start of the show, in a month's time, we will be going on hiatus for a while. Not sure how long, but yeah. Oh, and before I end this, Whale Dong, you haven't answered my call out. Still a pussy. Haha. Champion says so. Pussy. Won't even verse me. Alright, so that's that. Now I'll end this, you know. You pussy. So, thanks for watching. Like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell if you want. Don't really care if you do, but you probably should. And other than that, goodbye and good night.